my dear and lovely friends. At the first look, this building is like ordinary building, ordinary home, ordinary house. But this building is everything but not ordinary, it is extraordinary. This building is called Peace Palace. And today I will show you with my good friend all beauty of the pure, high and supreme knowledge that Maharishi Mahesh Yogi gave to the world, to us. And this Peace Palace is the home of knowledge, is the home for so many enlightened persons, for so many people that are willing to see better world. One of those people is today here with us. That man is called Raja Graeme and he's just enjoying here. Hi sir.
Hi, how are you, Leon? Come and join me. I've got this chair and I've got this tree all organised in its autumn colours for you to come and sit and enjoy with me.
Really, this is a special occasion. Thank you so much for planting that tree just because of me, you know.
Yeah, we knew you were coming from about 15 years ago and here's the tree to prove it.
This is what I call an enlightened person, you know.
Come and take a seat.
Oh, thank you. How are you today?
I'm good, I'm always good. It's a lovely environment here in New Zealand at our Peace Palace, and this is a building that we built about 25, 26 years ago, and it served us well as we've brought this knowledge, the Maharishi's knowledge that you spoke of, we've brought it to the people of New Zealand over the last about 50 years since I learned Transcendental Meditation, and I went overseas and I trained as a teacher of Transcendental Meditation. I came back and I taught hundreds of people throughout the country, and then I took over the role of the National Director of New Zealand, looking after all of the teachers in the country. And with the funds that we accumulated, we got this property with some good investors who came with us.
And why it is so important for people to live in Vastu home, Vastu building?
Well, one of the important things is that if you talk to architects throughout the world, they'll always tell you that they built a building that never seemed to work. And then in the next breath, they'll tell you that they built a building and people just loved it. And they don't seem to know why. And it's these rules of how to build a building that's in tune with nature is the reason that some of their buildings work. And all that the Vastu building does is it uses these rules to ensure the life supporting effect in the building is maximized. And we built this beautiful Peace Palace, which I think we're going to go and have a look at in a few minutes.
Oh, thank you so much, people. Dear people, did you hear it? 50 years of experience of the knowledge. Oh, we have a true master here, and you will so enjoy in this type of sharing. And Raja Graeme, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and knowledge with us.
Thank you, Leon, for coming here and being with us today. Down here in the bottom of the world in New Zealand, we so enjoy having people from the Northern Hemisphere come and enjoy our country with us, and I hope that you and your followers can get something out of the talks that we have today.
That is for sure. And just before we start to walk and talk, and can I ask you Peace Palace, first of all, that is such a wonderful name.
Yeah, I agree. And then as we go inside, we're going to see, we always just take our shoes off here as we go inside. And just come in and you...
Can you say just a little bit more about this building here? What is the purpose of it?
Yeah. So for this building, Peace Palace has actually two meanings. It has the meaning of that it's a place where peace can be created by the people who come here and do their transcendental meditation and the advanced techniques of transcendental meditation that have been shown time and again to be able to influence society's difficult parameters of crime and violence and hospitals and accident, and to decrease those. So that's one quality when the people come here and do their practice together. And another quality it's got is that this building is what we call fortune creating, or in its Indian name, it's a Vastu building. And that means it's a building that is using old technology that came through the Vedic tradition of how to build and align a building and to put functions in certain areas of the building that are supportive of all of those activity. So like in a house, you have a room for sleep that's in the place that induces sleep. You have a place for eating in the place that induces digestion. And so this building, you'll see as we walk around, it's aligned to the cardinal directions with an entrance on the east, and we'll walk around to the east gate. And the building itself is laid out north and south and is situated within its Vastu fence in a certain location that enhances all of these properties. And if one looks around the world, we find that this knowledge has been here time and again throughout the world. That places like Angkor Wat, the temples of most countries, here in New Zealand we find that the Maori Pa were often aligned towards the eastern sun. So this knowledge has been there.
That allows them to utilise what's already there, that everybody has inside of them, but it gives them the ability to contact that and benefit from that deep sense of inner peace and calmness that comes when you close your eyes and transcend. So for me, it's a very fulfilling life for ourselves personally, and also to be able to help other people. And now we're in a community of like-minded people, and so it couldn't be better, really.
Especially when you live so near Peace Palace.
Yeah, I know, we just have to walk 50 meters across the grass and we're there.
Oh, this is wonderful. And you are really people that create peace in this world, not just in New Zealand. But may I ask a question about government and support of the New Zealand government? And as I remembered correctly, Transcendental Meditation has been implemented in 1 or 2 schools here at New Zealand?
Yes, that's correct. We never really got government funding for it, unfortunately. It was always funded with donations from people within our organisation, which is why it didn't last, one of the reasons it didn't last for a long time. But particularly the school in South Auckland, they noticed incredible changes in these students there. It was a primary school in a poor area. A lot of the children were underprivileged and had all sorts of stress-related issues. The head teacher there told us that she always had a line of students outside her door who had been sent there for misbehaving. There was a policeman who was regularly at the school to deal with violence and fighting and things like that. And she said after they all learnt to meditate, it all calmed down. The children seemed to calm down and be more peaceful. And the teachers noticed it too. So it did have a wonderful effect, but we tried to get government funding, but it didn't work.
Still,
so the project unfortunately didn't last.
Well, one of the more amazing aspects of that was that the young children, they learn what we call the walking technique of meditation. And these somewhat unruly children from the age of 5 up until 10 and 12, that they would twice a day, they would go out onto the tennis courts and they always took turns at being a leader, and one of them would lead them around, and it was incredible. They were completely silent. They were about a metre apart, and they were just following the lines of the tennis court around and through the halfway line and things like that. But Maharishi Mahesh Yogi revived it in its purity for this time, and this building has been created according to those rules of Vastu that give it the wonderful, uplifting feeling that one gets when we go inside it.
Oh, thank you so much for bringing such a wonderful introduction about just one building. And just, can you show us the more?
Yeah, absolutely. So come on, let's go. And so this building that's behind me now, that if you look at it in the afternoon sun here, then it's been designed with this in mind. And it looks just like an ordinary building, but the measurements are done in such a way that they enhance these qualities. The placement is done in such a way that enhances life-supporting qualities. And although on the video we're not going to be able to feel it, when you walk inside this building, you feel this lightness, this kind of quality of easiness. And people who walk in, they always say, oh, this building feels good. And that's the effect that comes from just being in tune with nature. And just not a word spoken. And the teachers had told us at the beginning of the project, there's no way you're ever going to manage that. These kids will never be able to walk in a straight line and be silent. There'll always be noise. And they were just completely amazed. And as Raylene was saying, the effect on these children who had such trauma in their lives and such trauma in the school when we started the project was just amazing. But both Raylene and I have witnessed around the world that one of the things we joke about is that the schools that implement this program, they always have to build a new room. And it's very interesting what they have to build that new room for. They have to build a new room for all of the trophies that the children win. And this is at schools that beforehand, and particularly in Bali, there's a school there that a very successful headmaster, but he felt something was missing, and he found TM and he implemented it in the school, a residential school of a few hundred students. They had never competed even in regional competitions. And what happens is that after about 6 months or in the first year, they formed some teams and they competed in the regional competitions and they started winning them. And the confidence in these children just grew and grew. And over the next few years, not only did they win the regional competitions, but they began to win the national competitions. And even they took a group over to America to participate in an international school competition, and they came second. And this was such a joy, not only to the school, but the whole community that they'd been able to do that. And then the greatest recognition was that after about 4 or 5 years of this, that school got recognized as the top school, not just in Bali, but in all of Indonesia. And the principal got recognized as the top principal in Indonesia. And he says, all I did was the things I set out to do, plus the silence that Transcendental Meditation brought to the children that enabled them to learn where before they had been restricted. And we've seen this over and over again in the Maharishi School in Fairfield, Iowa, where our organization has an international university. The school associated with that just continues to win all of the competitions in the state of Iowa. In England, the same thing. In Thailand, there's a Buddhist nun who, with 20 years of work, has grown a school of 24 disadvantaged children from broken homes. It's like when you're out at the beach and it's a lovely day and nature is just enlivened and you just feel wonderful, then that's the quality that's built into these buildings. And so every day when you're living in them or when you're working in them as we do here, then you just are in this life-supporting nature. It's like being at the beach every day. Such a wonderful thing.
That is so nice idea and the vision of the life.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
So just yeah, please continue.
well, the other thing about that is that you find that you don't have to make all of these trips to the beach and that. It's still nice to do, but your life is so enjoyable that having to get in the car and go off to the beach or go off to the forest isn't something you need to do so much, because just life itself is like every day being out in the forest and at the beach.
And can we call this home, this building that has been built by Vastu architecture, by Vastu concept, Vastu principles, um, like this is a machine that is work for us because it's a live machine. Even the walls are if the walls are really positioned on the right places. Can we call it like that?
No, it's beautiful that you bring up this point, Leon, because Maharishi himself described these Vastu buildings as effect creating centers. And he means just what you've said, that they're there 24 hours a day and they create this effect. And we have found in our facility in Thailand, where you're recently becoming a teacher of Transcendental Meditation, we found there that as the buildings kind of mature in themselves, this effect of silence grows more and more until we found it doesn't require that the people are there or not there, didn't make any difference to the strength of this effect of silence. And so that's why these ancient temples we see throughout the world, which all of them have been built using aspects of this knowledge. You know, Feng Shui, the Chinese system, got more into necromancy and placement and reflection of energy, but it was based on these same principles of Vastu, because the Vedic knowledge is knowledge that is inherent within nature. It's not man-made knowledge, it's nature's knowledge. And that's why it's so universal.
Wow, so universal, so powerful.
Absolutely.
Okay,
You know?
can we see
Yeah,
more?
let's come on in.
Oh, dear people.
So I would say it's all from almost street life and turned it into a school of 900 of the most beautiful, soft girls that you've ever seen in your life. And they had to build another room to put all of the trophies in. So it really is amazing the kind of success and transformation that these 900 girls, they're getting a life, and the ones who are going on now are getting employed into wonderful jobs and different occupations that they never could have dreamed of from their beginnings in life. So we can see not only can we transform the children, but we can transform all of the people of the world truly into a global country of world peace with this knowledge.
Before next question about really big world problems and solutions, can I ask you a personal question about your life in Tim? You're together so many years, you meditate together so many years, you work together so many years. Can you just share it, how TM, Transcendental Meditation, work out for you? Some experiences?
Yeah, I mean, I think you've got to know the starting point. You know, I was, I guess, moderately successful in my education. I was probably reasonably well adjusted, but I did suffer from some kind of anxiety, and I found that as a student, you know, alcohol was a fun way to kind of deal with those kind of problems. And about 1971, I heard a lecture about Transcendental Meditation, and I thought, okay, if even half of what this guy's told me is true, then I'm going to give it a go. So I did, and I just got, you know, significant benefits. Not dramatic, but just significant. I gradually noticed I felt more at peace with myself spontaneously, and this was a surprise to me. Over the next few years, I decreased my alcohol consumption to zero, where I just didn't like it anymore. I became vegetarian, which completely surprised me, as I'd been in a family that had been eating meat all of my life. I just began to notice changes in me, and my life trajectory changed. I think I would have had challenges as an adult in the way I fitted in with my peers and others just because of the anxiety and insecurities and so on. And all of that went, and the trajectory of my life went, I think, to its highest possible cause. And I found over these years, I just kept doing the courses that Maharishi kept offering, and they kept giving me great results. And I went into business. I spent about 10 years and with a partner who was also a teacher of Transcendental Meditation. So one thing is we're coming in here, Leon, this garden, you'll notice it's laid out in a square. Well, this garden, this is like the center of the 4 fences that you see around us, which we call the Vastu area. And this we call the Brahmastan. Brahmastan is just another word for the center of a location. And so this is the center of this piece of land. Just come in and you'll see how part of our design was that we created this. You can see that there's light up here. It's a very uplifting kind of feeling when you come into the building, and we enjoyed that very much. So come on in.
Oh, thank you. I feel like I'm entering in a temple of wisdom.
Yes, that's how we would think of it, that we do keep this building just for the knowledge of all of this Vedic knowledge of that Maharishi enlivened in the world. And that's its purpose, is to be a seat of this knowledge for New Zealand. And as I was just pointing out to you, that outside was the little garden, was the Brahmastan of the piece of land the building sits in. Then in the same way, this central area right under the centre of the building, where you may have seen that it had this little filial on top, this is the Brahmastan of the building. So we celebrate these central points in this way by just marking them out and delineating them. Otherwise, as you look around the building, there's nothing different from it's made of the same materials. The only thing that's different is that it's laid out in a certain way with certain measurements that are known, not found to be, but are known from this Vedic knowledge to be life-supporting.
Wow. And we have here also a beautiful picture of
Yeah.
Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. Can you say just a few words more about his life, that we know so many things, but so many things we don't know. Can you just share your favorite quote of him or similar about maybe Vastu or whatever you found proper?
We grew the software business in a very intensive kind of industry. We were able to handle the stresses. We were able to gain enough capital out of that to then volunteer our time teaching Transcendental Meditation and working at the international level of our organisation. And I've ended up with this life that I never could have dreamed of, you know. But as in all of these situations, we should ask Raylene what it was like from her side.
I would love to, and many people would love to hear it.
It was similar for me in the beginning. I found that I used to worry a lot and about passing exams and things at university. And when I learnt to meditate in my final year at university, I realised that I actually didn't worry so much, and my studying was more efficient because I wasn't spending all my time worrying about whether I was going to pass or not, and also thinking about the things I was going to do after the exams. You know?
Better to be silent and enjoy.
Exactly.
Than worry, yeah.
Yeah. So that was the first thing I noticed, and I also noticed that the things like alcohol and cigarettes, because I was a smoker back then, like many of the young people, they just dropped off. They just, it wasn't difficult. You had the desire to stop. First of all, but not always that easy. But somehow with the TM, it really made it easy.
What do you think? What is the reason for such a wonderful results?
I think just inner strength, just and not needing anything from the outside as a crutch. The crutches don't seem to be, they just seem to drop away, you know, and you just feel you don't need them anymore, so why bother, you know, so just stop doing them. They're unhealthy usually and expensive, and and you can have just as much bliss and enjoyment in life without them, in fact more, because you're healthier. It just seemed to make sense, you know, and then also being with other like-minded people as we were, at that time too. We were migrating towards living with other TM teachers, and being in that whole kind of zone of teaching TM, and it just made it easier too. And just I think the other thing is that we talk about good luck or supportive nature, and I think that is something that I've noticed over the years too. That if I want to do something, or I desire for something to happen, it seems to come about much more easily than it ever used to, and it's effortless. It's just having the desire, doing a few things towards the fulfillment of that desire, but getting luck or support as you go in that direction, and that's something that I have noticed. So it makes life more enjoyable and easier to accomplish your goals.
Yeah, the thing about Maharishi is that he wasn't the founder of this Vedic knowledge. The knowledge was known in India, but it had been somewhat lost and confused, and people had lost the essence of it. So what he did was he re-enlivened the essence of the Vedic knowledge, and the absolute essence of it was transcendental meditation. The process of transcending to go beyond thought and experience the field of being from which we are, pure consciousness, then this is the real essence of what Maharishi brought to the world. And it's the thing that really makes this knowledge different, is that transcending is not just like mindfulness or being aware of yourself or anything. Transcending is actually a technique where the activity of the body settles down, that the body and the mind both get a much, much deeper rest than they do in deep sleep. Stresses and strains of the world are released, and the person begins to feel more as they naturally should. It's not that they become something different, they just become more of who they already were. And this is the great gift that Maharishi gave to the world.
Wow. And we have also a picture above, a global country of world peace. And you just mentioned stress release. Is it really possible to achieve that world peace? All nations without stress, all nations in peace.
Yeah, the amazing thing is that Maharishi took us on quite a journey. You know, we started off meditating for ourselves and thinking that if everybody in the world would meditate, then it would be a peaceful world. And what we found, there's some research came out of the US after some years, that when 1% of the population of a city had learned transcendental meditation, then they noticed that the crime rate, the sickness rate, things like traffic accidents, hospital admissions, they all began to go down when you compared it with cities of the same size that hadn't achieved this number. And this was amazing for us, because now the problem went from 100% of the people meditating to just 1%. What was even more amazing is in the 80s, Maharishi brought out the Transcendental Meditation TM City program. This was an advanced program which many thousands of people learned throughout the world, and it improved or strengthened or created a more powerful effect. And the research on this, because by now we knew to look at what happens in the society, the research showed that a population as little as the square root of 1%, which means for New Zealand with 5 million people, about 250 people doing this practice twice a day in the same location is enough to change these trends for the country. And so this is when Maharishi developed the global country of world peace. That he realized it was possible with this knowledge to transform the trends of time in the world and change it from increasing stress and things we see of negativity and war and trouble in the world to one of peace and affluence and contentment and happiness for all of mankind. And that really was the charge that Maharishi left his teachers throughout the world, to enliven the knowledge in the world so that people would take these peace-creating efforts and turn them into a wonderful vision for mankind living in a truly global, peaceful world.
Yeah.
Can we also say when we are going towards our inner self, we are more balanced, and when we are more balanced, we are more balanced with nature, and then nature simply support our state.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's a very good explanation. Yeah.
So beautiful to
Good.
hear those kinds of experiences, because so many people have similar experiences in their lives. Oh, and this is solution, my dear friends. Can you believe it?
Yeah.
Just try it. If not, and then you will live. You will live it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, this is wonderful. And you live so many years in Vastu homes. Can you really say something more about living in a Vastu home?
I just like knowing that we're living in a home that is the most uplifting and positive for our life. It feels good, and you know that you're doing the best for yourself. You know that the rooms are all in the right place in the house to provide the maximum enjoyment and good health for the individuals living in that house. And yeah, it just feels right. It just feels nice. Yeah.
Raja Graeme, why everyone should live in a Vastu home?
It's their choice, naturally, but what I would say to everyone is that living in a Vastu home is just like having someone working for you to make your life as good as it possibly can be. That when you understand the impact of incorrect measurements on the health, the success, the well-being of an individual, then you don't want to have that anymore. I mean, it's predictable with the knowledge of Vastu that you can tell if a house is likely to burn down. There's been experiences of in the wildfires in Los Angeles and California area where the fires came, and this is the words of a fireman. This fire was about to come up and over the brow of a hill and wipe out these houses, as it had done all along the street. And the words of the fireman were that this raging inferno, which they couldn't stop, he said it got to the top of the hill, and he said it was almost as if the flames thought, I'm going to turn. And he said it was amazing. They just went along. There was about 2 or 3 houses that were Vastu. It went along, and then it crossed the road further down, and those houses didn't have any damage.
Let's share it, because
Yeah.
I see here old edition of the Human Physiology by Dr. Tony Nader. Can you share something more? What was your first impression when you read this book?
The thing was, I think everybody has inside of them this thought, am I connected to the universe? Even as small children, we seem to have this thought, what is my relationship to the stars and the universe? And in Veda and the Human Physiology, Dr. Tony Nader takes the great epics, the Mahabharata and these stories from India, which have always thought to have been just great stories about people and their lives have been lived. But he shows, because he is Harvard and MIT trained, and he's a doctor of neurophysiology, so he knows all the stuff about the brain and the nervous system. And what he shows in this book is that there's a cosmic correlation between the organs and systems in our body and the universe, and that the Mahabharata is the story. It's not just an epic story of ancient India, it is the story of the human physiology. And it's just mind-blowing that all of these things, we see them as people having this Ganesh, the elephant head, and we see these other, we call them gods or Devata or whatever. These actually exist within us, that right at the base of your brainstem. That's where you find Ganesh. He supports the whole system. There's a part, I don't know the names, but Maharaj, Dr. Tony Nader, he goes into all of this and he shows that the shape of this part of the body is the same as the shape that's depicted. And the start of this whole story is a story of the lineage of the great families that make up this whole epic. But it turns out that the way that the children and the grandparents and everything are all connected, it's exactly the same as the story of the main artery that flows up like a river and branches out, which is the five sons of Pandu and so on, into the brain. And you realize, these ancient people, they didn't just give us a story, they told us all about the human physiology. And this is what Dr. Tony Nader brings to life in that book. It's just absolutely amazing.
Wow. After everything you said, every home, every family needs to have this book.
Absolutely. It's a knowledge that's been lost to the world and that we need to re-enliven. And in another situation, there was a house that got sold from the original people who built it, who supported Vastu, to someone who didn't mind so much. And they built an extension to put a kind of changing room outside of the Vastu, so they bent the fence out and around it. And a fire went past this place. And the incredible thing was, it burnt down the extension outside the line of the Vastu, but didn't burn anything inside the Vastu.
So it's like home creating a field of that magnetic field, maybe that, or some field of nature that
some field of nature. There's a Vedic word called kavach. Kavach, simply translated into English, means protection. So exactly what you're saying, and the Vastu fence really delineates the area of that protection. So that's why we see these effects.
Wow.
And so I just say to everybody, you have a choice, but once you have knowledge, then the choice becomes different, because now you choose to not use the knowledge that can make your life wonderful. So learning Transcendental Meditation, living in Vastu, if you do nothing else to help yourself in life, those two things will completely transform your trajectory and ensure you have a wonderful, peaceful, happy life.
Now we have even more reasons to live in Vastu homes, and now we have a knowledge and technology how to build it properly. And wow, I can just say that it's so happy to live in time now on this planet, on the earth, having that knowledge. Because just a few years, let's say just 100 maybe years ago, so less people had opportunity to even be close to this knowledge. And by thankfulness of Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, his revival of this knowledge, and by thankfulness of and devotion of you, both of you, and many more people that are willing to share this knowledge, now we are living in bright future actually. And one more question: if you now have opportunity to say one message to all humanity, what would you say?
I would just say the solution to all of the world's problems lies with this knowledge. And literally, within a few short years, we could transform the trajectory of the world into one of peace and happiness and success for anyone. And these are not just words from Graham Lodge. These are the words of science. What it was going, do you want me to say it?
This is what is this? Just a drawing, picture, vision board?
Yeah, it's pretty much like that. That when there's a group of us decided that we wanted to build this building, we all, inside of us, we knew what we wanted, but we weren't able to express it in a way that we could convey it to each other. And one of the group had a friend who's an artist who actually worked for Maharishi for many years. And Dr. Lawrence Chief, he's the man that did this drawing with a few ideas we gave him. And he said, this is what I see that you want. All of us, when it arrived and we looked at it, we just went, wow, that's what I was thinking. And if you look at the building, other than the kind of Victorian windows, where for New Zealand we did them more plain, and the roof maybe not quite as steep as that, but that's the building that we built, and we were just overjoyed. We loved the entrance, and going up into the atrium was just such a beautiful design, and we thank Lawrence so much for his genius in giving us this picture.
No, this is so wonderful to see first drawing, let's say first small materialization of the idea, and then we are here in this drawing.
We're in the drawing, absolutely. You know, and that's what it was like for us to live through this process. And it only took us, we organised some builders and that, and we had a target date we wanted it done by, which was fairly short. This building went up in only 12 weeks, you know, start to finish.
Really?
It was quite incredible, you know. We had a lot of fun doing it, and as you're building such a building, you can feel the kind of settledness and energy of the building, and, you know.
Yeah, because you are building a temple of wisdom, temple of knowledge, home of everything that is good, actually.
Yeah, and it's interesting you say that, Leon, because the measurements of this building are not the measurements and placement that you would have in a house. Because in a house you do different things, it's for living. But this is a building that's for knowledge, you know, and that's all it's done in all of its life, is just served all of those people who come here for knowledge. We've held courses here and given out knowledge and taught people Transcendental Meditation. So it's amazing what we express as name and form. You know, that the building is designed as a spiritual building, and that's the form that it has, and that's what happens when people come here, they get knowledge.
My dear friends, we are just on the entrance still, you see, we are at the... can you imagine what you're gonna hear in other rooms? If we are still in the entrance, and we just heard so much wonderful things about Maharishi, about this knowledge. Oh, thank you, Maharishi. Thank you, Raja Graeme, for building this. Can you please show us maybe 1 or 2 rooms more?
Yeah. So let's, we'll go this way. We'll go this way, because this is a hall where the ladies, that I often have said to people, there are none as blind as those who do not want to see. That all of the scientific knowledge is there that shows this in a very demonstrable way, that what we're saying not only will come to pass, but has come to pass, and it's there for the world to pick up and run with if it just chooses to. So to every individual that sees this, the opportunity is yours. Come join and create a peaceful world, or continue on your current trajectory. But if you come join us in creating peace, I'm sure you'll find that it really serves your life purpose very well, and you'll have a truly blissful, wonderful life. Jai Gurudev.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, I would just like to say that the solution is consciousness. We are all conscious human beings, but we all have a level of consciousness that determines our activity. When you meditate, when you practice transcendental meditation, you raise that level of consciousness. And as a society, as a country, as a world, if we collectively raise that consciousness, then the problems of the world will automatically be dissolved.
This we have set up that the ladies come and do their meditation here on the phone.
This is a room for making a transcendental meditation program, meditations, advanced techniques.
Yes, all of that. And so this is where the people come and do that. And then in this other half, as you will see, it's set up as more in a lecture hall style of situation. And this is where we're very fortunate that Maharishi, in his time that he is with us on earth, he made about 30 to 40,000 hours of videotape. And these have been structured by people into different courses. And so we hold residential weekends and weeks here, and people come and they do their long programs of meditation, and then they have knowledge from Maharishi through these videotapes. And it's a very, very beautiful situation that we have.
And behind you, over there, is one big picture of the holy tradition.
Yeah, let's come a bit closer.
Yeah, okay. Oh, thank you so much for sharing with such a joy, with such a pleasure, all this to all the people that are going to listen, not just today, but every day, not just in this time, but in future. And we are very happy to hear something more about this amazing picture.
So, I mean, basically this is showing how this knowledge, which the knowledge belongs to nature, so it doesn't actually become something like Einstein's theory of relativity that is figured out by a man. This is knowledge that reverberates within the silence of nature itself. But here what is represented is a tradition of some, and these are the highlights of the great masters that kept this knowledge alive down through the ages. And we don't need to go through them all, but you'll see that there's quite a number. And we eventually come to Maharishi's master, who Maharishi just referred to as Gurudev. He's got a longer name, but within our organisation we refer to him as Gurudev, which just means divine master or great master, like that. And then this is a picture of Maharishi himself, who he served Gurudev for many, many years before Gurudev left the earth and went on his journey. And then Maharishi started to, first of all, went into silence in the Himalayas, and then he got this desire to travel throughout India, and out of that came, he started to teach people who asked him what he did. He taught them transcendental meditation, and from that came world journeys where Maharishi, just by himself with a few little belongings, would someone would buy him a ticket and he would hop on a plane and go to another country and start all over again and set up an organisation in that country. And he just went 13 times around the world teaching this knowledge.
Because trying to solve the problems on the level of the problems themselves has been shown time and time again it doesn't work. But when you raise the consciousness of the people, then the solutions become automatic. People just find the ways to solve problems. Governments find the way to solve problems, and they get support of nature as well. So consciousness is the solution, raising consciousness.
And one other thought, some of you may have already heard this expression, But Maharishi, before he started talking in terms only of pure consciousness, he talked about being, or the inner essence of us. And I'd just like to remind everyone that we as a species are human beings. We're not human doings. And what we found was that people just loved it so much, they would form organizations, and then eventually Maharishi had a big meeting when he was under the sequoia trees in America in a beautiful situation, and all the scientists there had worked out, Maharishi, if you're going to teach the world to meditate, then you're going to have to teach a lot more people very much more quickly.
Yes.
And because the calculation shows you can't even keep up with the population growth. And so Maharishi thought for a while, and then he said, what I will do is I'll replicate myself many-fold. And over the next years, he developed the Transcendental Meditation Teacher Training course. And he worked out how to train others to teach this knowledge and to give the experience of transcending. And that has now resulted in something like about 30 or 40,000 teachers of Transcendental Meditation having been trained. And it's a role that I undertake. I look after the International Transcendental Meditation Teacher Training course at our facility in Chanthaburi, Thailand, where every year we train some 50 to 80 new teachers of Transcendental Meditation, just like Leon, who go out into the world and begin to teach everybody in their own countries. So that's the tradition of knowledge. It's an oral tradition. This knowledge is handed on from the master to the disciple orally, and that's how it's been handed on down through time. And that's why we show gratitude to this great tradition who has kept this knowledge alive over this great passage of time. Thank you.
Thank you for mentioning Chanthaburi and the Transcendental Meditation course for teachers. And really, we actually first to mention, we met there first.
Yes, that was our meeting that Leon and I met up when we had already got to know him through the application process, as you do these days online and through his digital picture and so on. But then we met up in person when he came, and he spent 5 months there. This is the amount of time it takes to really deeply understand this knowledge and the procedures that Maharishi set up for teaching. So although we can teach someone Transcendental Meditation in just an hour to an hour and a half over 3 or 4 days, the teachers have to be trained to deal with all the situations that the world may present. And so they spend 5 months going deeply into the whole process, and then they go out into the world and they teach within the structure of the global country of world peace.
Mm-hmm. And it's such a great honor to be part of this movement, to share this wisdom, this knowledge, and uplift whole world into brighter light and divine heart and divine love. And one quote from Maharishi.
Yeah. So towards the end of his life, I mean, Maharishi seemed to know that he was going to be leaving us in the not too distant future, and in January of 2008, he had assembled everyone together at his international headquarters in the university is called Meru in Vlodrop in the Netherlands. And the quote that comes to mind, that in really one of his final addresses to all of the gathered teachers and dignitaries and members of our international community, Maharishi said, "The future of the world is bright, and that is my delight." And it was just a wonderful quote that we've all remembered as time has gone on.
Mm. And I also remember one quote about Transcendental Meditation course. He said, this is absolutely the best course in the world. And I can agree, and not just me, many more teachers that went through that really almost undescribable experience.
Yeah, I mean, what Maharishi did was he created a course that allows the transformation of the individual, so that the teachers, by the time they've been doing extended program of meditation for 5 months, they've been studying the knowledge of how to teach. That as course leaders of these courses, we see in everybody this transformation in how they hold themselves in the world, that they just have this inner glow to them, that the knowledge, we say the knowledge gets kind of like metabolized or structured within them because they so deeply understand it. And it's a different kind of learning. It's not mind-based learning like we get at university. This is experience-based learning. And with this oral tradition where we spend a lot of time just repeating the knowledge orally, then it gets learned in a different way. It's not just memory, but it's structure. It gets structured into our physiology, and that is why the teachers go out in the world and you can talk to them 40 or 50 years later and the knowledge is just as fresh as it was when they first got it. Mm-hmm. It's quite an amazing course, as Leon was saying. So you see in the world today, everyone is doing. They're very busy, and there's not enough being or not enough pure consciousness, as Raylene was saying. Mm-hmm. And as we get more of this being or pure consciousness lively in the world, we will transform it. In the same way as if you've got a muddy pond or something, and you put a machine in there that filters out the water and takes out all of the dirt that's got dissolved, then the water becomes clear and everything grows and the sunlight gets to where it should. In the same way, we move stress from the collective consciousness by this filter of transcendental meditation that just dissolves the stress away. And you might say, well, what is the stress and where does it go? And I would say to you that when you have a knot in a piece of string, and you can say that the string is stressed, then you undo the knot. Where does the knot go? You know, and it's like that with the stress. It just dissolves, and what you're left with is the purity of silence and pure consciousness that can enliven all possibilities for every individual.
Now we are at the next building. And what is the purpose of this home, this building behind you?
Yeah, so Leon, this building is built as an accommodation block. It's got 10 rooms in it, which are basically designed for people to live and sleep in. It doesn't have dining facilities or anything like that, because that takes place in the main building. And so people come here when they come for a residential weekend or week-long course. And these rooms are all laid out with their bathrooms and the windows and the doors according to the knowledge of Maharishi Vastu. And everyone that comes here, they always report that they have such wonderful sleep and that it's so silent and enjoyable. And of course, that is the purpose for which the building was designed. So if you want to, we can come and just have a quick look inside.
Yes, please, why not? Oh, so people, you're more than welcome here at New Zealand to visit Peace Palace, to have a wonderful knowledge about Transcendental Meditation, to learn if you... oh yeah, please?
Yeah, so it's called the Mike Burns Hall of Residence because just one day we were here, we'd built the other building and we were thinking we really would like to have some accommodation. And this man just comes along. He was a very genuine, down-to-earth man. And he said, I've got this money and I don't need it and I want to donate it so that you can do what you need to do to make this place better. and he gave us in total about 400,000 New Zealand dollars, which was the basis for us to be able to go and build this place. So we were able to do that, and so come inside and let us
Thank
just
you,
see.
Mike. Thank you, Mike, so much for your support. Okay, thank you, Raja Graeme, for realization.
So again, we have a central kind of area with, you know, here just very simply marked out the Brahmasthana or centre of it, and then we have each room. These the beautiful ones on the north side that in our southern hemisphere, of course, they get all the sun, and you know this is set up for a couple to be in here, and this lovely, you know, spacious ensuite and all of this kind of
nice,
stuff.
so full of silence and look, beautiful scenic view on the nature.
Yeah, and you know, there's rabbits and birds and things out there in the morning that to greet you each day. And so each room is like this. There's, you know, quite a number of different rooms. Just all set up so that if I be quiet, you maybe appreciate the silence.
So, dear people, you just visited Peace Palace and accommodation building, and now you will see where Raja Graeme lives. This is his beautiful home, where he have a rest, plans, and now we will sit, enjoy, and talk more about the knowledge, about Maharishi, how to solve most biggest world problems, because really we have that knowledge, that technology.
Thank you, Leon.
Oh, thank you both of you for really, really important messages. And my dear friends, my dear people, followers, lovers of this unique knowledge, I wish you all the best, and we will continue to explore knowledge of Maharishi Mahesh Yogi and to support all those beautiful people that work on making peace, creating peace, not just Peace Palace, but world peace. Raja Graeme, thank you, really, thank you so much.
You're welcome.